Okay, welcome back. Welcome to Fret Ninjas. If you've watched my introductory video and you're back, thanks for coming. So this is the sort of first tutorial from ground zero, as we said. And in this video, I wanted to chat about the different types of guitars. We're going to chat about three of the main different types. So in case you're wondering what that guitar is up in the attic, or the one you were given for Christmas or borrowed from a friend or whatever, we're going to go through all that right now. So the first and most common type that you generally find when somebody starts to play the guitar is something that looks a little bit like this. Okay, so this is traditionally known as a classical guitar, also maybe known as a nylon string. Some people call it a Spanish guitar. Okay, so yeah, this is the nylon string. You can tell by especially these three strings at the bottom, if they look like fish guts, something your dad uses to go fishing with, then it's a nylon string guitar. Traditionally, like I said, I mean, these are the guitars that people normally start with. They can be relatively cheap. You can pick them up in, like, you know, your charity shops and your secondhand stores and stuff like that. I started on one of these as well. I traded it in really quickly. But anyway, let's talk a little bit about the classical guitar. So the classical nylon Spanish guitar, as I said, so you know, you can tell by the nylon strings. These top three strings have actually also got nylon in the middle, and they just wrapped with some sort of steel. So yeah, traditionally these guitars are more used for sort of finger picking work. So I wouldn't generally recommend them as a first guitar. There's nothing wrong with them. You can start on these guitars, and like I said, they're readily available and they're quite cheap, and you can pick up a second-hand one for next to nothing. But like I said, I mean, you can strum these guitars. It's just traditionally they're more of a finger picking guitar, you know. The fretboard is actually a lot wider this way compared to like an acoustic or steel string guitar, and that's so that you can really get your fingers, you know, sort of all over the neck. So for sort of like big sort of picking, you can still do all your traditional chords and everything. I mean, it's you know, it's a guitar, it's a standard guitar. But generally you play this guitar with your fingers, and you do a lot of picking. You know, you're picking more than one string at a time as well. So like I said, I mean, it is strummable, you know. You can do your normal strumming and your chords. Possibly a little easier on the fingers, like if you're starting, because a lot of people complain about, oh, my fingers. So yeah, you know, a little easier on the fingers. So, you know, not a bad guitar to start on. So that's the nylon classical Spanish guitar. Okay, so yeah, put that down for a second. Now, the second guitar I want to talk about is what is traditionally known as an acoustic guitar, also known as a steel string guitar. And obviously the big difference here is you've got all steel strings opposed to fishing gut. So yeah, you can see your steel strings here. The fretboard, which is this part of the guitar, is a lot narrower, and it's got a more of a sort of shinier, sort of sharpy sound. Quite quite a bright sound to it. And these guitars are generally used for strumming. So your big strumming chords, you know, your cowboy chords or open chords, you know. I mean, you can do, you know, eventually you can do your bar chords on here. You can you know, you can do your lead work on here and stuff. So this is an acoustic guitar or steel string guitar. Generally I would recommend these as maybe a first guitar, purely because learning to strum is probably going to be a lot easier in the beginning, you know, to get this motion going than to start worrying about finger picking and all this sort of funny, delicate work, you know. So yeah, generally I would recommend something like this, a steel string acoustic guitar, okay. You get these in two different flavors, right? You got ones you can plug in. So for example, this one's a plugger-inable one where you can hook it up to an amp or whatever and, you know, amplify it and get, you know, sort of, you know, more sound, bigger sound out of it. Then you've got your pretty standard normal ones. They don't plug in and they just purely acoustic, and you know, you're not going to annoy the neighbors with it. Yeah, so acoustic guitar, all the same principles apply between the two guitars. All the strings and the notes and the chords and everything's exactly the same. There's no difference. Just like I said, this one's more of a strummer. You can pick it as well. You can do your finger picking and stuff, you know, that's fine. But yeah, generally I would say more of a strumming guitar, you know. And again, you can pick them up relatively cheap, secondhand, you know, Facebook Marketplace, secondhand shops, cash converter type places, you know. You can get them relatively cheap if you want to just pick up a secondhand one and to get started, you know, that's cool. So yeah, that's your acoustic steel string guitar. And then the next most obvious one is an electric guitar. So an electric guitar doesn't work. Yeah, so these guitars, you have to plug them in, obviously. You've got to plug them into an amplifier to get sound out of it, right? So you notice with an electric guitar, it's normally a lot thinner than the other guitars. There's no hole, sound hole, so it's not producing sound resonating out of the body of the guitar. You've literally got to plug it into an amplifier to get sound out of it, right? This is not going to annoy the neighbors if it's not plugged in, so, you know. And you can still sort of hear it. But yeah, this is a plug-inable guitar, an electric guitar. And these come in a vast, you know, array of flavors, colors, shapes, configurations, and, you know, these, yeah. So that's it for types of guitar. So like I said, you know, if you're getting started, a classical nylon string or an acoustic guitar, you know, I would recommend one of those two. Maybe more the steel string if you want to, you know, just get started with the basic strumming and stuff. And yeah, those are the three main types of guitar. You get various other guitars, you know. You got 12-string guitars, you know. Obviously, a banjo is a banjo, you know. Ukulele, you know, 4-string, you know. But generally, 6-string guitars. You've got the classical, the acoustic, and the electric. Cool. So, thanks for coming back. I hope that cleared up a few maybe questions that you might have had. You know, what guitar might have been laying around the house, or what your friends lent you. And yeah, thanks for coming back, and join me in the next video where we're going to talk a little bit about the guitar and the parts, you know, just learn a little bit of the jargon and start, yeah, getting a bit more in depth with it. And yeah, cool. Thanks for coming back, and see you on the next one.